Hello everyone, my name is Gail. Welcome to my sunroom. Well, I'm still working on pot holders. I'm still practicing making some pot holders. So since last week, I've made about 4 that I've not put the binding on yet. I made this one right here, a little simple one. And I made this one. And actually I made 2 like this here. So today I'm trying to put the binding on them and see how they turn out. This one, I just put the binding on. Actually, okay, pleased with it. Not the best, but I'll take it. You can probably do it either way. So I'm practicing these little wavy lines here because I'm planning on doing a quilt in those wavy lines. So I thought I'd practice on my pot holders. But this one I put the binding on. So now I'm not a teacher, as I've already told you. I just like to work on my hobbies, my crafts, practice. I call it practice, but I'm just working and doing things my way. And so I'm just thought I'd bring you along and let you watch me as I put the binding on this pot holder. So if I don't talk a lot, it's because I'll be concentrating. So let me get started here. Well, a foot pedal fixed just right. We've been having some pretty days here in Georgia. I hope the weather's not too bad wherever y'all may be watching from. I should be outside and getting me some vitamin D, but still the air's a little bit cool for me. So, you know, there's so many ways people do when they put the bindings on quilts or pot holders or any little thing. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. And for me, looks like I do it the hardest way, but I just have to do what works for me. I'm practicing though, and putting it on these little pot holders, man, it's so tedious. I didn't think it would be so frustrating. You'd think working on something small and simple that it wouldn't be so hard, but I think I'd rather put the binding on a big old quilt than these little pot holders. There are ways that you can just cut the back part bigger and just fold it over and let that be your binding. And I did try that in one of mine. And I may do some more that way because it actually works pretty good. I do think it's a little bit more easy to do it that way. But like I told y'all, I'm trying to make up some Christmas gifts this year, and I'm wanting to kind of get ahead of myself. I'm kind of a procrastinator sometimes and put things off until it's just right too late. And I'm trying not to do that this year. I'm trying to get ahead of myself a little bit. So every little bit that I can do and get done. And of course, the more I sew, the more I'm practicing. And practicing is supposed to make perfect, they say. I don't know if that will apply for me or not, but I don't know. I have a couple of these that I made that didn't turn out very well. I did try to use them to make sure that they were going to work okay and that no one would get burnt using them if they picked up a really hot pan. And so far, the one that I've used has worked real good. I know a lot of people just put the cotton batting on the inside of them, but I try to put that, here I go again, can't think of the name of it, but it's the little stuff you put inside that keeps your hands from getting burnt. I always want to say ultra bright, but that's not it. That's not it at all. I think I'm going to need to start writing down the name of some of these things. I've only used this. It's almost like little interfacing, and I've only bought and used it on these pot holders, so I'm not real familiar with it. But I am going to have to write down the name because I've got to get some more when I go back to Hobby Lobby. And I just use this little measure here to measure where I need to end my sewing. I'm not good at estimating where to stop at on these corners, so I stop at 1/4 of an inch from the end, and so I just use this little gauge here and mark it with one of these little pins that for the ink is supposed to come off when the heat is applied to it. So that's how I have to do to judge my distance. I'm not good at judging that little 1/4 inch. You know, if you have everything together when you're doing these, it really don't take that long, but I hope you can see what I'm doing. It's like I said, I'm not a teacher, so I'm not really putting a lot of explanation in this. I just want to bring you with me each week as I'm working on stuff and just let you see how I do my crafts. And I like to watch videos and get ideas from people, and so maybe I can inspire you with some ideas. That's my hope. I had my 2 daughters and 2 of my granddaughters and a little great-granddaughter, all the girls. We left out the 2 boys, excluding the son-in-law and grandsons-in-law, but we went on a little shopping spree looking for a prom dress for my granddaughter on Sunday. So she had brought one of her friends with her. She said, "Grandma, can I show her your craft room out here?" I said, "Sure, bring her on in." So they come out here, and that little girl was just, "Oh, I want a room. I want a room to do my stuff." And I said, "Well, this is not a big space, but it's my space, and I enjoy it." If you do hobbies and have crafts and stuff that you like to do, you do need a place where you can go and enjoy them. Now I'm getting around to the where I started right here. So this is my hardest part, seems like, is getting all this to come together. So I'm not real good with this part, so, but we'll see. So I'll get so far down here, and then I'll have to cut this off. You know, putting the binding on a quilt has been the hardest thing for me with my quilting experience. It's been the hardest part for me to learn. And when you look at videos, everybody does it different. And like I said, you just have to find your own little way of doing things. And I don't really like my way, but so far I've not come up with anything that's any easier. I've tried, I really have, but I think I'm going to cut the corner of this off right here and see if that's going to help me a little bit. Kind of scary when you start cutting your fabric, not really knowing if that's what you should do or not, but actually I think that's going to work just fine. That seems to lay down so much better. So, learn as you go. Learn as you go. Okay, I've got that sewed on, and that's just that part, so I'm going to have to fold it over now to do this part. So let me press it a little bit, and got my little iron on here, which is don't get so hot. And I've used this little iron for so long till I actually think I about wore it out. It's just a little cheap iron. I got it at Walmart. I wasn't going to invest in anything big. And I use it mostly when I'm piecing. If I'm doing anything big that needs pressing, I'll get my big ironing board out and a big iron and use it. But just little simple things like this, I can use this for. Now I'm ready to sew this side down, and the iron is hot. I don't usually pin this down or anything. I just kind of go by eyesight to put this on. Now when I'm making a quilt, I don't sew my binding on the sewing machine like this. I do it by hand. I just have it looks better if I do, so. Might not be the best miter corners here, but if it works, it works. My granddaughter's little friend, when she come out here and I was showing her some of the things that I had been working on, the little blankets I showed y'all last week, these pot holders, she said, oh, you could sell these. You could sell these. I said, well, now I don't think they're that good to sell. You know, I really did appreciate her encouraging words, though. I'm hoping my time don't run out till I can get around this thing. If you see me keep scratching my nose, I must have allergies going on or something. My nose is just itching so bad. A little runny, so I must have a little allergies going on. Okay, y'all, I have got this finished up. All binding and all done. I can cut these strings later. Well, let me clip that one. So here's my finished product today. I'm really happy with this one. I think this is the best one that I've done since I've been working on pot holders. So I thank you for coming along with me today as I'm binding this one, and hope to see you next week when I'm doing another craft, doing another project. So until then, take care.